and a warm welcome. I'm Rihatul and you're watching Viewpoint. The poll bugle in Rajasthan has been sounded and the note is a fiery one. As the day today began with the state's Chief Minister, Mr. Ashok Gehlot's 7:40 a.m. tweet accusing the Prime Minister's office of removing his 3-minute speech from the event that marked Prime Minister Narendra Modi launching various development projects in the state's Sikar. The PMO, however, was quick to contradict the Chief Minister's claim and assert that it was the CM's office, in fact, that had said that Gehlot will not be able to join the event. Now, this further attracted a tweet by the Chief Minister in response, stating that his office informed the government that Gehlot would not be able to be present at the event physically because of his leg injury, but would attend through video conferencing. But given that the protocol doesn't permit it, he went on to mention in a press conference post the Prime Minister's event that, quote-unquote, in the interest of Rajasthan, he did join on non-interactive mode through video conferencing. For the uninitiated, who find this war of words very, very odd, we must refer you to what had happened in the month of April this year, when the Prime Minister virtually launched the Rajasthan's first Vande Bharat train, and he'd started his speech saying, and I'm quoting from that speech, "My friend Ashok Gehlot." Gehlot had later reacted to that address and branded it as the Prime Minister playing tricks to call him a friend and then go on to criticize his government. Well, Gehlot's misgivings aren't altogether misplaced, because look at what happened today. At the public address in Sikar, the Prime Minister did attack the Chief Minister over the Red Diary case, claiming it is the one holding Congress's dark secrets. And as if reading from a page out of BJP's parliamentary meet, he reiterated his charge against India, calling it an opportunistic alliance and their name change akin to a way of the fraudulent.
आपने लाल डायरी के बारे में सुना है ना? कहते हैं इस लाल डायरी में कांग्रेस सरकार के काले कारनामे दर्ज है। लोग कह रहे हैं कि लाल डायरी के पन्ने खुले तो अच्छे अच्छे निपट जाएंगे।
चुनाव के पहले इतने घबरा गए हैं, जनता का मूड देख रहे हैं, जनता क्या सोच रही है, उसको लेके इतना घबरा गए कि बोखला करके अनशन आरोप लगा रहे हैं, उसमें लाल डायरी लेके आगे बढ़ा।
Prime Minister Modi is so rattled by the formation of India. Question is whether Modi can guarantee that India will climb out on the bottommost global ranking in human development index, prosperity index.
मुद्दा मणिपुर है। 88 दिन से मणिपुर में नरसंहार चल रहा है, वहाँ पे एथनिक क्लेंसिंग हो रही है, हिंसा हो रही है। प्रधानमंत्री को अपने देश के एक स्टेट के बारे में पार्लियामेंट में आके बात करना चाहिए, ना कि जहाँ पे चुनाव होने वाला है वहाँ पे सरकारी प्रोग्राम डाल लेके वहाँ पे जाके विपक्षी पार्टियों को भला बुरा कहना।
And before I open this up for my panel this evening, we have got some breaking news here on Viewpoint. And this time, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is once again slammed in the India alliance as he's headed to Gujarat in Rajkot, where he has called that alliance a union of the corrupt who, quote-unquote, cannot change their nature by changing their name. That's the word that's coming in once again by the Prime Minister as he charges and levels these allegations against the India alliance, the opposition parties. Let's first listen in to what the Prime Minister said in Rajkot.
आजकल इन भ्रष्टाचारियों और परिवारवादियों ने अपनी जमात का नाम भी बदल दिया है। चेहरे वही पुराने हैं, पाप भी पुराने हैं, तौर तरीके भी पुराने हैं, लेकिन जमात का नाम बदल गया है। इनके तौर तरीके भी वही है, पुराने हैं, इनके इरादे भी वही है।
Let me now welcome my guests who join me this evening on Viewpoint. Dr. Anshul Avijit of the Congress Party, Mr. R. Rajgopalan, who's a senior journalist, and Mr. Sanjeev Srivastav, another journalist, is joining us on the broadcast. We, of course, in the course of this debate, will also be having a member of the BJP. Anshul, I'll begin with you. What was the need for that half-baked tweet that was put out by Ashok Gehlot this morning in an accusatory stance that he'd taken ahead of Prime Minister's visit to Rajasthan, where he'd only mentioned a portion of the aspect on why his video message has been omitted out of the Prime Minister's program?
No, Griha, that is not the real story. The real story is what was the need for the Prime Minister to yet again plummet to new levels of disgust, of disbasement, completely sickening once again. I mean, to attack the opposition, the Prime Minister has done it multiple times. You will be doing a democracy of a favor by exposing the opposition, if you will. If you don't do it, history will. Go ahead and attack the opposition. But in this crude and tasteless manner in which he repeatedly does it again and again. Come on, Griha. Comparing the opposition to a terrorist organization, really the limit. I mean, how dare he? He has no gumption. He is so fearful. He's so panicky that he does not come to Parliament to address on the basic question, the peg of the story, which is not Rajasthan, incidentally. Every state should be important. We will discuss Rajasthan, of course. But the peg of India's story today is what is happening in Manipur. You'll agree with that. There's been unremitting violence for the past 3 months. The Prime Minister has not come and spoken about it. After 2 months, he gave some kind of comment at the beginning of the session. It shows gross incompetence or complete ignorance, right? On the other hand, he keeps on attacking the opposition as if they are at fault. Do it again. Do it time and again. You're always in election mode. You always forget about governance. Do it. But comparing it to a terrorist organization, comparing it to the East India Company, and therefore to colonialism, and the deep irony wouldn't have missed you, because it anti-colonial struggle, which he referred to in his speech. It was the Congress party, it was the members of the opposition, their ideological ancestors that fought for the British, not the ideological masters of the BJP or their ilk, which were hiding behind the shadows of the British. They were cowards. They refused to come out. Not a single member of them went to jail or let their blood for this country. And it's deeply ironical that he keeps mentioning that again and again. The Prime Minister's speech, to me, mirrors his own grim reality and his fragile government and his ego, because everything he mentioned, from lack of governance to the gross incompetence कि बेटी और ये सब यहाँ पर सुरक्षित नहीं है, everything applies for him and his government. It's absolutely shameful. Attack the government, but do not forget that you're the Prime Minister of this country. There is a stature. Attack it with dignity, and say something worthwhile instead of these aimless comments.
Okay, let me on that note also welcome Anila Singh, who is with the BJP, who's also joined us now on the broadcast. And unfortunately, Anshul, you've completely jumped the gun. I asked you a different question. We would, of course, have come to that very point that you were making on what has been the Prime Minister's attack so far. But, I really wanted to start with that tweet of Ashok Gehlot. But let me actually bring in Anila Singh. Anila, this is the comment that has been being made by the opposition parties, especially the Congress in this case, considering the Prime Minister was in Rajasthan in the first part of the day. And even Ashok Gehlot in that press conference had mentioned that whatever he's making, the statements that he's making vis-a-vis the opposition alliance name that goes with the acronym India is unbecoming of his position as the Prime Minister of the country. How do you respond to that?
My Ram to all, and just now, when I joined your debate, I heard what Anshulji was saying.
Yeah.
He was saying it is obnoxious the way Prime Minister is comparing our INDIA with some terrorist organization, blah, 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 blah. Have you forgotten your leader, Salman Khurshid, what he did? He compared RSS with Boko Haram. He compared RSS with ISIS. Have you forgotten? And have you forgotten that in one of the book he wrote, जब सिख 1947 में जब सिख मारे जा रहे थे तो मुसलमान बहुत खुश हो रहे थे. So check your facts before you start blaming and accusing Honorable Prime Minister of this great country. So your unstable alliance, which you're trying to make it stable, we very well know that what happened in Bengaluru, what happened in Patna. So INDIA, suits you, but India doesn't suit you, because your political party, especially if I talk about Anshul ji, they have simply exploited this great nation. What you have done the same thing which Britishers did, because ultimately your party was made and handcrafted by Angrez only. So divide and rule. It continued even after Britishers left our nation. So here is one Prime Minister who is working for this great nation, and yesterday he promised that in my third term, India will be third greatest economy of the world. He said this thing, and he is going to do that, because we have seen that in 2013 we were on 10th step of the economic ladder of the world. Now today we are on 5th. So very soon we'll be on 3rd. So here we have a Prime Minister who is working for the nation, and on the other side there is an alliance which works for the dynacracy, mobocracy. This is their mantra. And Prime Minister's mantra is Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, but Sabka Prayas. If somebody doesn't want to do prayas, they are most welcome. They can join INDIA. But I just want to say one thing here finally, Greha, that in 1942 we didn't get an opportunity to participate Quit India movement. But here we have an opportunity. Any supporter or voter of this alliance should quit this alliance, INDIA. ये चोर मक्कार केवल और केवल वंशवाद बढ़ाने वाले भ्रष्टाचारी वाद फैलाने वालों का ये अलायंस है. Red Alliance.
All right, Sanjeev Srivastava, let me bring you in here. It's very amusing how members of the BJP do not even want to call this India. It is INDIA. I'd like to understand this one aspect, because that's another charge that's been leveled at the BJP and the Prime Minister, that they are rattled because this is the nomenclature that the opposition alliance has come up with. And this is becoming more and more evident in each and every speech that the Prime Minister is making, whether what was conveyed to us through Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad, what happened in the BJP parliamentary meeting, or these two speeches, one in Rajasthan, the other one in Rajkot, just a short while ago.
See, what has happened is that the opposition very cleverly thought that this India name would work for them. And because Made in India, Startup India, Bharatiya Janata Party also has India, Bharatiya, and everything about BJP is about nationalism. So they thought it will be a very good counter.
Yeah.
But the BJP in some ways is falling into that trap. Otherwise this India name would have passed you by. It could have been a news story for a day or two. But the manner in which the BJP sometimes tries to attack India, sometimes try to make it India versus Bharat, and now Anila Singh ji is making an acronym out of it, which it actually is, INDIA. So I think it's much ado about nothing, much more importance being given to a name, which the opposition was crafty or smart or intelligent or whatever you say, politically savvy, to come up with that kind of a name, because they were constantly being pushed into that anti-national corner, so that was their answer to this. But by BJP focusing on the India part of it is giving some play to the opposition game on this, I think. Otherwise, at the end of the day, it is not a contest between India or Bharat, or India really won't have that kind of a resonance unless the BJP makes it resonant. Otherwise, it will be a clash of two ideologies, two different set of groups, Prime Minister Modi on one side and the clutch of opposition leaders who are very relevant and powerful in certain strongholds of theirs. But it would have been a usual contest. But now with this opposition coming in with this name, and I think the BJP is somewhere falling in that trap. If they had just avoided and moved on, it wouldn't have become such an issue. But now it is gradually becoming one.
Okay, Mr. Rajgopalan, would you agree to what Mr. Srivastava is saying, considering, everything was a nationalist pitch for the Bharatiya Janata Party, with the opposition coming up with the name India? Do you think that is what is happening by giving it too much of importance? Because this is what had happened during Rahul Gandhi and the Congress Party's Bharat Jodo Yatra. By claiming that it is irrelevant and by talking about it, they gave it that relevance which the BJP itself was saying doesn't need to be given to either Rahul Gandhi or the Bharat Jodo Yatra. Do you think something similar is happening in this India case, where again and again the Prime Minister is talking about the nomenclature?
Prime Minister, he goes for a kill. He does not like Chaukidar Chor. Did you not know that Prime Minister known for crowd resourcing? Prime Minister does it with a vehement attack on the Congress. The reason being, how long you can brand Rahul Gandhi? 1,000 times. They branded him from 2014 onwards. All that branding aborted. Now the new nomenclature, I.N.D.I.A. What does it mean in that? So therefore, I honorably disagree with Sanjeev Srivastava.
Okay.
BJP is not rattled. It is Congress which got rattled because they submitted to the government today. 5 bills have been passed, madam. Can you believe, in the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha? If they want to obstruct the proceedings, no conference motion they brought because Prime Minister was not coming. Therefore, the government taught a lesson to the opposition. Opposition gave in to the trap of government, and naturally they gone in for no conference motion. Can you believe 303 varies and 140 varies? There is a difference of 200 in between. So therefore, my understanding is Congress lost its game. Rahul Gandhi goes abroad and says about India. He describes about India in foreign country. There are 2 Indias. One India, another India, rural, urban. Semi-India, full India. Like that, he is confused personality. That is why he could not take off for the last 10, attempts. So, like, my understanding is Congress lost its game. Congress will not revive because there are no 26 states. There is no organization for Congress. What is happening in Rajasthan? Red Diary. That is creating a major furor in Rajasthan. Similarly, Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary is the leader of the opposition. Why he does not move the no conference motion? Why Gaurav Gagoi has been given? Because Trinamool objected to that. So therefore, there is a contradiction even in the initial stage. DMK, which goes for a water dispute between Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. Tamil Nadu wants water from Karnataka. Meghdadu, they are constructing a dam now. There is a conflict between DMK and Congress. Therefore, they say I&DIA India. There is a conflict. That is why Prime Minister is exposing repeatedly, whether in Rajasthan or in Pragati Maidan, Bharat Manimantabam, or in Rajkot, by which he will crowdsource it and ensure that the BJP is gone ahead of the Congress.
Okay. Anshul, would you like to respond to the charges that have been made by both Anila and Mr. Rajgopalan? I'd like to understand this one thing. When we talk about whether the BJP is rattled with the acronym India, the other accusation that's coming, and we are going back to Rajasthan, and this time I wish you, answer that question that I had put forth to you. The fact that Ashok Gehlot preempted what is coming when the Prime Minister would have visited Rajasthan. He knew the Red Diary would be made into a huge charge because that is something that Ashok Gehlot cannot shy away from, and this is ample ammunition from the BJP, and of course the Prime Minister used it against Rajasthan Congress. Do you think preempting that, he'd already tweeted that he's been not been allowed to say anything in the Prime Minister's welcome, and his tweet has been snipped, in fact done away with altogether, and now there is an accusation that there is a rift between the India alliance as well?
No, but that's not the real story. I mean, the Red Diary is a complete bogey. It's a red herring. It's to divert attention from other much more serious things that are going on, which is a northeast state, which is extremely fragile at the moment. It has a history of some form of instability. You have to get peace there very fast. You have a highly prejudicial government, a highly incompetent government over there. The Chief Minister of there has not been fired. That is the real story. Do talk about Rajasthan. That is politics.
But Red Diary was something that your own now sacked minister had in fact got into the discourse.
No, do talk about it. There will be a time and space. You do talk about anything concerning Rajasthan. The Prime Minister mentioned it. Do play your politics. Very proudly members of the press and others say, oh, the BJP, works overtime in its politics and the Prime Minister is absolutely ruthless. That is so highly unfortunate because what has been, completely undermined is governance. This Prime Minister will go down as the single most incompetent Prime Minister in the history of India when you talk about demonetization, the way he completely wrecked the economy. I call it
no demonetization.
No, hang on a minute.
Let him complete.
Hang on. If you let me come. If you want to talk about Rajasthan, also talk about the Health Security Act. Also talk about urban Manrega. Also talk about OPS, the promises that have been fulfilled and what we have delivered.
The Congress is doing it. Congress is doing it.
Sir, hang on a minute. Let me just complete
but you are repeating the old story, bhai. What is the story of Rajasthan? You say that.
Mr. Rajgopalan, let Anshul make
Are you going to tell me what to say? Did I tell you what to say? You said whatever you want, like
complete
the
your
Prime
point.
Minister.
Anshul, complete your point, please.
Come on, just give a break. No, hang on a minute. What I'm trying to say is the incompetence of the Prime Minister, which is hugely manifest, the apathy and the incompetence of the Prime Minister, which is hugely manifest in a situation which is now brewing in Manipur at the moment. The Parliament impasse is because of that particular reason. He's not coming on and saying things about it. A token couple of words don't mean anything
but
at
Anshul,
all.
even in the impasse, like Mr. Rajgopalan was mentioning, there are bills that are getting passed without the opposition's interference.
What is the joke? What is the joke of
one second, let me ask the
Parliament?
question, Mr. Rajgopalan. I'm asking it, so let him respond. So that is happening despite what you guys are trying to do, getting the Prime Minister on the mat, getting him to respond to Manipur. There are bills that are being passed without your participation. How is this a parliament, a functioning parliament? And do you think that is normal? Do you think that should be allowed in the wake of this one stance that you have that the Prime Minister needs to speak about Manipur?
One stance, one of your states in independent India in 3 months has gone where it's going
I'm
right
not,
now.
and I'm not diluting. I'm not diluting the gravity. I'm not diluting the gravity of that.
Hostage to that. There is a reason why it's being held hostage to that particular situation.
But it is not being held hostage. The bills have been passed. That's the problem.
That are coming out every day for the past 3 months from that state. It is highly unfortunate if bills are being passed without discussion. Do you think that when there is this, do you think that the BJP has a history of passing bills with discussion, even the parliament is on? Will you tell me one bill which was discussed? And there was actually an opposition.
And why do you think that is happening? Why do you think? Is the opposition not to blame?
It's a fascist government which does not believe in taking the opposition into confidence.
Okay. Anila, that's another charge that BJP needs to answer. Bills being passed without discussion. This is nothing new. This is not about the Manipur stalemate that is right now happening in the parliament. This has been something that has been happening with the BJP regime. That's the charge that the Congress party is levelling. The second thing, the Prime Minister, even today, while he prioritized attacking the opposition and the India alliance, he said nothing about Manipur. He said nothing about women's safety. He said nothing about the situation in the northeast.
Griha, number one, we have not brought the situation of stalemate. They have invited it. They do not want any sort of discussion in the parliament. They want to dictate their own terms and conditions. They have rented black dress from ISIS. Because whenever we see so many people in the black dress, no, I'm just saying, when they can say anything, why can't I? This is the freedom which Constitution has given me as well. I am Bharatiya Janata Party spokesperson. It doesn't mean I can't say. Even I have got that right.
Complete your point.
And secondly, if I talk about the Manipur, Honorable Home Minister, he wants to discuss about it because even we want to tell the people, whole of the nation, why and how the things has happened and are happening in Manipur. We want to discuss about it. We want to tell each and everything about the Northeast and Manipur especially. And a Prime Minister who has dedicated his life, or I can say that he sealed his life for the empowerment of the woman. How anybody can question his working that he has not worked for the empowering women in this nation.
I just want to understand, Anila, why has this become an ego tussle? Because that's what it comes across to be. The opposition wants the Prime Minister to speak. The BJP says Home Minister is ready. He wants to have a discussion. He sent out a letter, use that as an olive branch. However, the opposition is not willing. When will this end? There needs to be a discussion, and we also have been during the course of this broadcast for this entire week, we've been talking about when is this impasse going to end? And none of the parties have an answer to this. So it has essentially become an ego tussle, an exercise where it is your word against the opposition's.
See, I have huge objection on this phrase or term, olive branch. Why should we? Even they are elected member of parliaments, and parliament is one place where they should discuss about all the policies related to the citizens of this great country, or all the voters who have voted for these member of parliamentarians to go and discuss on the policies which can do some good for them. But instead of that, they are creating mayhem, they are creating ruckus, and every time, whenever there is a parliamentary session to begin with, they come out with something, and they simply want that whole of the parliament session should wash out. And most of the time, they are successful in it. This is hard. The parliament doesn't run from their pocket. It is being run from the hard taxpayers' money. They are not appreciating the simple thing.
Sanjeev, let me bring you in here. Let me bring you. Okay.
I know one thing. And let me tell Mr. Anshul. Mr. Anshul, you should, and Sanjeev ji as well, because he's supporting Congress party here, or this INDIA alliance. So I just want to tell that it is yesterday's news only, and it has come out in all the newspapers connected with finance and the economy, that IMF has said that India has the finest economic growth trajectory in the world. In 2024, the IMF has projected 5.9%, and 25 it is going to be 6.1. So whether it is China, whether it is USA, they all are going to be behind us. And so how can you say that the economy is of this country?
Economy is one thing. The turmoil in Manipur is another. Sanjeev, I'd want you to come in here. When it is about the opposition protest, one second.
They all are scared of.
Okay, let them respond about the red diary and also the black protest, the black stir in the parliament. Sanjeev, I'd like to understand, do you see this protest headed in the right direction by the opposition? Because even as they protest, they actually ensue a black stir in the parliament, wear black clothes or black bands, and also call in for a no confidence motion against the Narendra Modi government. Where is it really headed? Because even in the wake of all of that, the Prime Minister is not even in the Parliament today. We do not know when, during the course of the next week, that discussion on the no confidence is going to happen. And we also know how Narendra Modi is going to be comfortably sailing through it all. Is the way the opposition is going forward with bringing Narendra Modi to speak about the Manipur situation right, do you think?
Okay, first of all, let me say that I'm not batting for India or opposition. The problem with today's polity is that if you are critical of somebody, then you're automatically seen as on the other side, which is fine with me, frankly. I don't have any axe to grind, but I just want to say that I would like to believe I am independent. Just because if I criticize the BJP on some issues and Congress on some issues, it doesn't mean that I am either batting for one or the other. But having said that, I think on your question, what options is the opposition left with? It has been a time-tested practice. When BJP was in opposition, it brought the house down in this manner all the time. And it was then, I used to say, okay, that's the BJP's right as opposition to stall the house, to hold the house to ransom. It's the government's job to make the house run. So when Mrs. Anila Singh ji was saying that, what do you mean by olive branch? Why should... So the point is that once you are leader of the house, once you are a governing party, with this kind of a majority, which one has not seen since Rajiv Gandhi's days, then it becomes, in my opinion at least, it becomes your duty to walk the extra mile or miles to make sure that the house runs. So if he's the leader of the house, if he's the Prime Minister of the country, what is the big deal really? Okay, it's churlish on the part of opposition to keep insisting the Prime Minister should give a statement. But on the other hand, why should the Prime Minister shy away from a statement? See, what is the big deal? Aren't we a democratic setup? Isn't he the Prime Minister? Is Manipur, if not the most burning issue, one of the most burning issues in the country in recent months? So why not the leader of the house speak about it? And I will say that yes, it's great news that Indian economy is growing. IMF has said that we are going to, they've upped our forecast from 5.9% to 6.1%. It's great news. It's great news that we'll become the third largest economy in the world, as Mr. Modi said today in his next term, if that really happens. So we should all celebrate that as Indians. But the issue is that we also have to celebrate our democracy and be a truly functioning democracy. And the onus is always with the government of the day to make sure that we remain a democracy and all the democratic
very pointed question. Do you
and
think, and Anila and Mr. Rajgopalan, this question is for you. This entire push of talking about India and talking about the Popular Front of India, Quit India movement, all of this is an attempt to shift the narrative so that the question on Manipur gets stalled and this entire conversation gets shifted to a back and forth between the opposition and the BJP, because the Prime Minister is saying this not once but thrice almost.
And Griha, let the debate start. Whether Prime Minister comes or not, you understand. If the Home Minister is to reply, apart from that, Sanjeev and me have covered Parliament more than 40 years total. We would have covered for 70 years. In 70 years, nowhere I have seen any rule of the Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. The rules of Rajya Sabha is different, Lok Sabha is different. Nowhere in the rules, either 167 or 265, whatever that, there is no word that Prime Minister should come and address. They say government. So government will definitely reply. Why can't the opposition allow to that? And second thing, there is a positivity in Prime Minister. What I will do in 25 years. This is all my roadmap. But in opposition,
all of that is fine. All of that is fine in an attempt to actually push for votes for 2024. But also a conversation on Manipur is important. I believe every member on the panel would agree to that one point. Let's see if the opposition is stuck up on a word from the Prime Minister, or if at all there is going to be a middle path where a conversation in the Parliament actually begins on the Manipur situation. We'll leave it at that. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me on this debate. And with that, I'm slipping into a very short break on Viewpoint. But up next, the Udupi College filming scandal has sparked a political firestorm in Karnataka between the Bharatiya Janata Party and the Congress. We are asking, is politics hampering a free and fair throw? That debate after a short break.